Hello. Oh my gosh, technical difficulties. Jeez. First it was the microphone not working, then the camera was acting like it didn't want to connect. So hello. Thank you. I'm getting ready to start the recording for this. So if you have any comments or questions or things are resonating with you, feel free to leave them in the live chat. And if you happen to be watching the replay, definitely let me know your thoughts and what you think about everything. But this is my first ever live podcast recording. I have no idea how this is going to go. So, pep me up, y'all. I hope you're having a good day. Let me know where you're watching from. Just like any other live, I will do a Q&A at the end and chat with you all, but a little bit different. I'm going to just pretty much go straight through my stuff instead of stopping. So then that way I'll have my recording and then I'll be less editing on my end. So I'm going to get into this, but you can also listen to this as well. It'll be on the podcast tomorrow and all of that. So let's get into it. Hello, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited for this episode. This is going to be a good one because I am in real time getting ready to launch my brand new business, the Inspire Blueprint. It doesn't feel super brand new just because I've kind of been doing this thing for a couple of years now, but it looked very different. And so as I've been going through the last couple of weeks leading up to this launch, I started really reflecting on the first ever launch I ever had when I launched the Stationary Muse back in 2016. And what is so interesting is that I'm such a different person, just even in my roles in life, the things I do, but even more of just how I approached it, how I approached a business and launching. And so I wanted to just talk about how then versus now. Basically, I don't know what I'm going to title this episode yet, but I just want to share what I'm doing differently this time around versus what I did when I first launched. And I think it's going to be helpful for anyone that maybe you've launched before, maybe you never have. If you're planning on starting a new business and you're wanting to just kind of hear from someone who has experienced it. This has been my journey for the last 6-7 years. And so all of these things that I'm sharing of what I'm doing differently is things that I've learned over that time. So this is actually the first ever live podcast that I am recording. So if you are more visual, you can also check out the video version of this over on YouTube. I'll make sure that it's linked in the show notes as well. So let's just get right into this. And a lot of these things that I'm talking about, these lessons, are things that I work with my one-on-one clients with. That's currently kind of what I do right now. I've been leaning into a lot more one-on-one coaching, and it has been so beautiful. But I'm happy to be able to provide these lessons to people early on so that they don't have to deal with these things, y'all. Because some of this stuff, as I was writing out this list, I'm like, these are things I would literally laugh at myself today, be like, girl, what do you think you're doing? So definitely some gems about to be dropped in here. If you're driving or if you happen to be walking, definitely come back and replay this one again so you can get some of these really good tips. So my shop launches on Thursday, November 17th. Right now it's Tuesday, so it's just a few days away. The last couple of weeks have been very, very hectic, just trying to get all of the details down. And it's so interesting how I had kind of taken a back seat to products and just what it means to have an e-commerce business, because I've been really doing a lot more service-based coaching and digital products. That's been my thing. And so it was so cool to just pick back right up where I left off and just get right back into what I love. And my computer's probably mad at me because I got a ton of files and all of these things from the designs and the pictures, but it's just really cool to fall right back into what it means to have a product-based business, physical products, tangible things. When I got the products in hand, I was just so grateful of the quality. I'm actually wearing one of them right now. This is a fleece little sweatshirt that's going to be launching soon in the shop. And it's just such a good feeling to create something and then have it in your hands. You work hard, you think about it for a long time, and then it's finally in your hands. But the thing is, there's so many lessons that I learned from the first time that I held a product in my hand to today. And so that's what we're going to talk about. I actually jotted down 8 different things that I'm doing differently approaching this time around versus how I did it the first time. So the first thing is I'm just going to dive right in is connection first. So I think when I first started my business, which I think is important, you always want to make sure quality products is very important. You know, you want to provide the best to your customers. You want to provide the best experience. and all of those things. But a lot of times that is on the back end of the process. And so I was so focused on that. I was so focused on having beautiful packaging and making sure my products were the best. And all of my eggs was in that basket that I did not focus on connection first. Connection first, just meaning building trust, building relationships beyond the products. And I think that this is one of, and actually these are in no particular order, but this is definitely one of the top ones for me because I've learned over the years that the more that you grow with your audience, they trust you, they get to know your story, they naturally just want to support. And it's not even anything other than just like any other relationship, right? You know, you get to know people, you have a couple interactions with them, and eventually, you know, you open up to them or you decide to support them, you purchase with them. And so that's something I did not do the first time around. There wasn't really a lot of connection at all. And it actually gets into the second one, which is having an actual launch strategy. There was no connection. I posted, I think, a countdown graphic. I'll have to go back and look on my Instagram page because I still have all of the original Stationary Muse posts on the Inspired Blueprint page. I preserved that page and just kind of switched the name out. But I pretty much just posted a graphic saying, oh, the shop launches in 2 days. And then the very next thing pretty much was, okay, it's live and you can buy these things. And it's just funny to look back, and I thought that that was launching, and I thought that was what I was supposed to do. And I actually recorded 2 episodes around launching here on the podcast already. You can check them out. It's episode 3, which is all about the recipe for a successful launch. And then episode 4 is all about just the mental load, the emotional feelings around launching. So make sure you check that out. But the biggest thing I would say is this time around, I really poured my all into this launch, even despite life happening right now. I actually dealt with my dog passing away just a few weeks ago, and just all through the month of October, dealing with him being sick. And it was just so much going on, even outside of that. And so having to continue to stay motivated with these things and really do this big launch that I had envisioned in my head, it really is a labor of love. And so the biggest piece of encouragement I can give you just from these first 2 points is that when you are going into your business and you're wanting to get started, just remember that these are people on the other end of the screen. These people that are putting in their card information, these are humans. So connecting on a human level with people is important. And you do that through having a launch strategy, through multiple connections, multiple sharing of what you have going on, asking them for their opinions, and connecting with them on a regular basis, providing them with value. These are all things within a launch strategy. And I'm just touching on the surface, but these are things I did not do in the beginning. And then I was looking crazy, like, oh, why is nobody knowing about what I'm doing? Was like, girl, you posted one time. What did you think? So number 3 is to have an email list. So back then I had heard about email lists. I knew they were a thing. I had an email list set up on MailChimp, but I did not approach it in a way of anything. Like, I had it, it was just sitting there, and I was not really utilizing it. I would occasionally use the newsletter templates on MailChimp to send out just a random blast occasionally, be like, oh, hey, something's on sale or something like that. But that was about the extent of it. And so today I approach it so much differently. I know that I need to send out promotional emails and I want to share what I have to offer. But at the same time, I want people to feel like they're getting value from me as well. And so my email list, which at the time when I started obviously was 0, you know, I've since grown my email list to over, I think we're at like 6,000 people on my email list. And it's all because of the value that I provide and the opt-ins and things that I've made years ago that people are still joining the email list. And so I know to some people that might not be a big number, but to me, that's huge. And so I'm definitely approaching this launch differently because I have what I feel is like this beautiful tribe under me, in a sense of like they're supporting me, they're lifting me up. And even though everyone doesn't purchase, because that's not what my business is all about, it's about the impact and the encouragement that I have to share with people. And so to have that list, it just gives me this extra boost of confidence to be like, girl, you can do this, keep going, put yourself out there. And I encourage you as well. If you don't have an email list, if you're kind of thinking it's not a thing you should focus on, I definitely think you should look at my series on YouTube that I did. It was a whole email list building series back in September. And I talked all about just how important it is. So, number 4 is having systems in place, having an organized plan in place. So, before I ever did anything, I just would dive right in and get started. So it would be like, okay, oh, I got an order. Let me fulfill it right now. Oh, I need to design a new product. Let me do it right now. Like everything was just kind of like a right now mentality. I didn't have any systems in place. I didn't have any idea of what to say to people when they would send me messages. Someone might be following up on an order, or they might ask, can they change something? Or I didn't really have like a specific policy. Like I was on Etsy when I first started, so there were the policies in place, but I was just kind of putting anything. I really didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to kind of get out there and get started, and I had already been putting it off for a year, so at that point I just kind of dived in. But what ends up happening a lot of times when you don't have systems in place, when you don't take a moment or two to think through the process, you end up having an overload of just having to produce all of this content, having to design new products, having to fulfill orders, respond to customers, because there's a whole customer service and admin piece to it. So there's all of these different roles that one person is filling. And I don't think I really understood just how much work that was going to be. And so from moment to moment, I was just letting things pull me in different directions instead of approaching it of a way of like, okay, on this day, this is what's happening. And so going into it now, I started doing that towards the end of when I was running my business. I started to have specific days, but I'm bringing that same practice back, is to have a system for what day I fulfill orders, what day I'm designing, what day I'm writing out my emails and my content, my captions and everything. Okay, what day am I going to sit down and just dream up what I want to do for the next quarter? There needs to be something on the calendar for those things. And what it does is it has me wake up in the morning, and instead of my email telling me like, oh, this is your priority, it's like, no, this is my priority. And then I get to my email. Or today is an order fulfillment day. That's all I'm doing. Today is a batch recording day. That's my focus. Now, of course, orders are important. And so that's a little bit more frequent within my schedule, and it will be more frequent. But the main thing I think to take away from this is just that you never want your business to be running you. So having these plans in place, and especially when you're getting started and things are kind of steady, you can get away with having, 1 or 2 days out of the week that you kind of call your fulfillment days, when you're sending out notifications for shipping, printing labels, packing orders. But there's so many steps involved before that happens that it's just important to have set days and processes. And then same, like I mentioned, when people reach out, sometimes you don't know until you actually experience it, but I would get certain messages, but they would be repetitive, asking like, oh, do you do custom? At the time I was doing planner inserts. Do you do custom planner inserts? And I would always just be like, oh yeah. And then I'm charging little to no money for a custom insert that somebody's having me design, because I'm just kind of trying to get myself out there and I don't want to say no to anyone. So just having just an idea of what your boundaries are, what you want to do, what you don't want to do, where you want the business to go. And then that way you're not getting pulled into doing things that just was never part of your vision. You're not feeling overwhelmed, and you're actually excited to do your business, because it can be a lot. So that is a whole mouthful, and I could definitely touch on that in a whole nother episode, just about systems and organization and things within business. But that is something I'm really grateful to be going into this new business, having very intact and ready to go. Another thing is number 5, and this is profit and smarter decisions. So again, I was not very business minded when I first got started. It was more so kind of led with my heart in a lot of ways, of just like, oh my gosh, I love stationery, and I want to encourage women, and I want to help them get organized. And all those things are still true even to this day. But I have to approach it in a bit of a smarter way. And there's a lot of ways to do this. A lot of people have different opinions about this, but the biggest thing is that you want your business to be profitable. And in the beginning, I'm not a math person. That's something I've always said for years, but I have had to become a math person because it has to make sense. And there are going to be low points in business. There's going to be times when stuff is just not coming in and you're trying to, refigure things out and configure what you thought was working. And I definitely am currently in that season right now. And so it's always a learning curve and figuring it out. But I just say, take the time out to sit down. And if you're thinking like, okay, how do I price this product? I was so big on just trying to make sure that I had affordable products back then. I just wanted to make sure that people didn't even second guess purchasing with me. I wanted to make sure it was low and that it was a good deal. But in the end, it was so labor intensive that I was losing money. It would take me sometimes to cut down, to print everything out, cut down the inserts and everything that I was doing when I first started, or even making stickers. I mean, up into my subscription box, everything. A lot of my first business was handmade, and I was not charging accordingly for that. But even if it's not handmade, inventory is not cheap. And so I think the biggest thing, I've heard this from clients I've worked with in the past. I know we want to be affordable for people, and I definitely want to as well. But nowadays, there's pay later options. People can do Shop Pay through Shopify. There's Klarna, there's Afterpay, Sezzle. There's so many different options. And so I would rather have that as an option for someone. And I mean, I've used them myself personally, so I know that they're great. You can still get something you absolutely want, but you don't have to wait to get it, or miss out on something. But it also allows the business, I feel like for my business, I can charge accordingly to where I actually am seeing some profit. And this is a totally different approach from what I had before, because I was just like, okay, I want to make a little bit of money. So let me just kind of, if it was costing me $5, I don't even think it was that much, but it was $5 to do like a daily insert pack or something like that. Okay, I'll charge $11.95. And there was so much work that went into that. And so it's just going to be different for every business. Everyone has a different business model. Your customers will pay what they're willing to pay. So it's, of course, important to know who your customer is. But at the end of the day, I'm going in with the idea in mind of, I want my business to be profitable. I don't want to feel like I'm putting in all this work. These products are not cheap to make and to get, and then feel like I'm literally getting pennies on the dollar, for all of the work that I'm putting in. So that is a bit of a different approach, I guess I would say, just because I was so different back then when I first got started. Another thing for number, or not another thing, but number 7 is that I'm approaching this like a company instead of a hobby. And I think this is the biggest one out of all of them that I've mentioned, because when I first started, like I mentioned, I really just kind of went in and was like, oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be cool. This time, because I kind of have that experience under my belt, I really am approaching this Inspire Blueprint as a company. It is a small business, yes, but at the end of the day, it's a company. I want to scale this company. I want to see it grow and eventually have people working for the company. And it would be really cool for some of the products to be seen in retail and stores. And so I really have a different vision, as before I was just very like, okay, I want to get my first product out and I want to encourage women, get them organized. And now it's like, that is my big vision. I want to impact women. I want them to get out of their own way to build the life that they desire. I want to do that through my products. And I also want to scale this thing to really see how far it can go. I did not go into the stationary muse at all with any of those things in mind. And so it's such a different mindset of just how I'm approaching it this time. And also the same with the legal things as well. When I first started with the stationary muse, I didn't have anything in place. I was just going in as a sole proprietor. This time I already have an LLC in place. I've trademarked. There's a lot of things that are just different, and a lot of this stuff can be pricey, so it's definitely something that takes time to get there. But I guess the biggest takeaway I would say for this is, if you take a moment to just kind of visualize where you could see your business going. And if it's anything outside of, like just your local community, or if it's anything outside of just kind of doing something for fun, if you see it being anything besides that, I highly suggest approaching it like it is a company. So, really starting to move in a direction of making decisions that allow for you to eventually do wholesale one day if you want to. Planning out your year, even if you don't have the specific dates in place, but just knowing, like, okay, next year, I know I'm launching these 4 products. This is going to be happening in Q4, and pacing yourself. Don't feel like you need to launch your entire product line in your first launch. Pace it in a way that makes sense business wise so that you can get used to everything. You can figure out what works, what doesn't work, what do my customers like, what's the best seller, what's something I can take away. Okay, is this price working? If you have all of these different things at one time, sometimes it can be difficult to really measure all of those things. So I'm just really leaning into the fact that this is a company, which again is just a very different approach for sure. Another thing is shipping. That is number 8. I was very intimidated by shipping when I started. And actually, this is the final one. I do have a bonus one too, though. Um, I was really intimidated by shipping. I don't know what it was, but it just was like this foreign land. And it's weird because when I talk to some people that I work with or just people on my kickoff calls and things, they will be like, I just don't get shipping. How does it work? And so once you finally get in there and you get started, it actually is very simple to figure out. But even just all of the details and what makes the most sense, how to save money with shipping. When I first got started, I just dived in, and I think my shipping was just overpriced sometimes. I didn't know about how you can manipulate your price so that you're not having as much shipping because let's face it, in Amazon age today, people don't like paying shipping. And so for a small business, that's difficult. Even for me, for the Inspire Blueprint right now, it's difficult because shipping is expensive and it will literally drive down your profit margin if all of your money is going to shipping because you're trying to compliment people with free shipping. And so that's been something over the last, like, I would never have thought that my biggest hang up would be free shipping, but that has been one of the biggest things that I have been calculating and toying around with and playing around with the numbers to see if it's possible, if I can do it. And so you'll have to wait and see if that ends up being a thing if you check out the shop. But it might be something that'll happen occasionally. I don't know. But if you are approaching your business, just keep that in mind that you are not Amazon. And so as much as we would love to do those things and offer those experiences, I know I have to just trust that my customers know that I'm trying to do the best I can. And with shipping, it just becomes this whole thing. But I put that in here because it was something that I've been sitting with for the last week. And I'm like, this should be a point because there's a lot to it. It's a lot more than just slapping a label on a package. There's just a lot of details and trying to make it work best in the best interest of the customer and the business. So I wanted to throw that in there. I'm not intimidated by it. In fact, I'm actually kind of like nerding out about it and just trying to make sure that I'm making the best choices. And I'm sure I'll make some mistakes along the way, but just going in with a little bit of a clearer understanding and just past experiences is definitely very different than before. So that is the 8 things that I'm doing differently, how I'm approaching this new business differently. But I have a bonus one that I wanted to add. And this is a great one to kind of wrap this up on. And that is that I don't have to do it all. I think that for a really long time, I prided myself on having all handmade products. And, that was just my thing. And so I felt like if anything was made from another company, I was an imposter or I wasn't working as hard or just all of these different lies I was telling myself. And the reality is being a mom and a wife and, just trying to maintain all of these different things going on, it is really hard to do everything handmade. And a lot of my clients know that I've kept it real with them with this. I've shared it on this channel too. That's one of the reasons why I moved away from the handmade planners. I absolutely love that handmade planner process. I haven't talked about it much here on the podcast, but I made my planners by hand. And I did that because at the time I was trying to get a specific look and there was a specific thing I was trying to do with my customization of the planners and just none of the numbers were working. And so I ended up making them by hand. But now I don't enjoy that as much. It's something that I would love to do just for fun. and to do it occasionally, make it for someone or something like that. But for that to be a business and to want to scale that as one person making planners by hand is hard. And so that's the biggest thing, I think, is that you don't have to do it all. I don't have to do it all. And it doesn't take away from anything. So if you want to work with a drop shipper, if you want another company to make your products, if you want to work with an illustrator, or if you want to get commercial artwork or whatever it may be, where it's you removing yourself from something. I started purchasing templates for workbooks and things online because it was taking me so many hours to just do my templates, to create documents for my business and different things. And I'm like, why am I working harder? I need to work smarter. And so that is really what it is just, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to be all of the roles, or even if you are, make that part of the role a little bit easier for yourself. So don't feel like you have to just take on everything. And I know that's a lot easier said than done, because there's days where I'm like yesterday, for example, where I was on my computer from pretty much the moment I woke up till the moment I went to bed, with a few things I did in between. And those days happen. I think that's just with any business. But the biggest thing is just to know that it does not take away from you as a person if you decide to delegate something in whatever capacity that looks like for you. So that is all of the different things I wanted to share. I hope that this episode resonated with someone. It helped you to just think a little bit differently, especially if you're getting ready to launch a business. I know we're coming up on Black Friday season, so I know a lot of new businesses start. And even with the new year, so many more new businesses are going to be on the horizon. So take some of my advice, maybe shift your mindset a little bit, think about some of these things, and I will catch you in the next one. All right, y'all. That is recorded. I think it was pretty good. What do you think? I think it was pretty good. I was not going to actually do this episode for tomorrow. I had a whole nother one planned, but I ended up switching it because I just kept thinking about like all of the things that were so different from the first time, that I was like, this would be such a good episode, and it's so in the moment. So I'm grateful to those of you that tuned in and watched. But I really love the one that's going to be for next week too. It's going to be how to stay motivated when things are falling apart. So that's going to be next week's podcast episode. But I really needed to do this one today because it was like really on my heart to get it out and to just share. And hopefully it will help someone. So thank you all for listening and all of that. Does anyone have any questions, comments? What are you working on? How are things going? Let's see. Takia said, you have and still provide so much value and encouragement. Truly amazing to see the transition and learn about the steps you are taking to switch it up this time around. Your success is inevitable. Thank you so much. Thank you, A.O. Harmer, A.O. Homer, the artist. And payment plans for original paintings. My collectors like that. Yes, that was one of the things that when Afterpay and all that stuff came out, because that was not a thing back in 2016. But I think just it does help because you can really not say charge ridiculous, like not get astronomical with pricing, like not anything like that. Like I would never do that. But you really can charge what you probably in your heart feel like you should, and not feel as bad, if that makes sense. I don't know. I mean, I know people have their different feelings about like the pay later options and stuff, but I really think it's kind of cool that they brought that to online, because it was something for so long that you could do like in store. And I think that was just such a cool thing that they added. It helps businesses so much. I remember when I had launched my planner back in 2020, and I added Afterpay to my shop for the first time, and like my cart value went up. I feel like the orders were more because that was an option in the majority. I would say at least half of them, maybe a little less than half, but quite a bit of the orders were with Afterpay. So I just think if you don't have that option in your shop, definitely something to consider, because it can make or break someone's decision of whether or not they want to purchase from you. All right, Narissa, hello, said, how did you get organized when you shifted? Oh, hold on, it moved. When you shifted businesses, did you hyper focus on it when prepping your audience for the change, or did you just mention it here and there? Oh, shifting the business. So I did do, I feel like it was kind of abrupt. Like I have been thinking about it for about a year, but I shared a video on this channel. I want to say it was back in August, I think, just basically announcing that I was closing my shop. I shared the details about it. And I think people kind of knew, even some people in the comments had said, because I just kind of fell off a little bit with the stationary muse, honestly, because I didn't know what I was doing. But the way that I was able to get organized with it was I really just started to lean into what I wanted the Inspired Blueprint to be, how I wanted to feel running it, what I wanted people to just like say about it, I guess. There's this one exercise I have in my program. It's called like Fly on the Wall. And it's just basically, what do you want people to say when you're not around about your business? And so I really just took time to start thinking about those things, because those big ideas is what led me to be able to be like, okay, this is the type of content I want to post. This is the type of challenges I want to run in my Facebook community. This is the type of dynamic I want to create in my Facebook community. Because for a long time, it felt so confusing, because I think it was like I had this audience of people that found me because I was talking about how to start a business, and then there was this audience of people that were following me because they liked my stationery products, and it just never fit, and I didn't enjoy it. And so I just really leaned into the purpose of the business, and that really helped me to then execute that and turn that into tasks of how I could make that happen, what it would look like. I'm really big on pulling up a Google Doc in a second and just like mapping out an idea. For the Facebook group, for example, that was a whole Google document that I wrote out what I wanted the Facebook group to be. And so I think I did, in a lot of ways, kind of hyper focus on it. But at the same time, I kind of just pivoted. I think it was natural. A lot of people weren't super surprised, and eventually it just kind of fell into place. And I don't know if I answered that question exactly how you were asking it, but hopefully that helped a little bit. But I will say it was just like one day where I finally just was like, okay, on Instagram, I posted it. It was like, I just flipped the switch, like that sound. And then I literally changed all the colors on the page and just was like, I'm tired of being scared about, moving forward with this. So I finally just kind of pulled the plug and started fresh. Okay, Penny P, you've given so much hope and encouragement on my tough days as a stay-at-home mom. May God continue to bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wishing you the best as well, and just know things will get better. May God, or let me see, are you interested in getting another dog? Oh, thank you for that question. I don't know. I feel like we got really lucky with him. And I'm not even just saying that, like sometimes people will just say stuff just to be like, oh yeah. But like, no, like y'all, really, he did not do anything. Like he never really had accidents in the house until literally just that last month. He never had accidents in the house. He never chewed up any of our personal stuff. Even when he was a puppy, he didn't chew up any of our personal things. There was maybe once or twice within his first couple of months of just training him and, getting him used to the house. He just chilled. Like he never was in a cage really after like his first year. So he would sleep out with us. He would just be out. We didn't have to worry about him getting in anything. He was just like the best dog. And I had never had a dog before. And he doesn't really bark, or doesn't. He didn't really bark a lot. Only if somebody rang the doorbell. That was literally the only time, or if he heard some kind of crazy noise. But you know how sometimes y'all, like, no offense, but there's some dogs that are just really yappy. And he just was not that. Like he would be outside chilling and not be barking. And so I just don't know if we could ever find a dog like that again. And he was just so chill. He matched the energy of our family. So as of right now, no, we definitely don't have any plans. But we'll see. I don't know. It's interesting too, just how kids kind of process it, because my daughter's 4 and I wasn't sure how she was going to react to it. We didn't actually show her him because he passed away here at home, you guys. Like, I don't talk too much about because I don't want to start crying, but I was here with him basically by myself. She was still asleep. He passed away. So he was like in the trunk of our car, all like in blankets and everything, because I was getting ready to take him to the vet to put him down. That was the plan. And he stopped breathing while I was waiting on the vet to open. So like y'all, it was just a whole thing. So with that, we were scared to we didn't know, like, should we show her? Should we not? And so anyway, she just will randomly bring him up and she'll be like, I miss him. I'm thinking about Milo and things like that. So it's just interesting how kids process it. We didn't even think she would notice really, but he literally was a part of her entire life. We had him for 7 years. So that was a long-winded way of saying not at this time. I'm not going to say never because you never know, but we have no plans of getting another dog as of right now. Okay, let me see. I'm taking a long time to answer questions, so let me speed up my responses, but I appreciate you asking. Okay, let's see. Oh, he was an amazing dog. That's understandable. Yes, definitely. Yeah, after my cats passed away, I was done. You forget the grief that it takes place, and I don't want to go through that. Exactly. And that's what I was actually talking to my friend about earlier today is, it's a dog. And for people that don't have dogs, they won't get it. They won't understand. But I mean, in a lot of ways, it's like a child, and he was with us for 7 years. He was with us through all of our major life milestones. And then to lose him, it's just like, you don't think like, oh, it's just my dog, whatever. But his presence was such a big part of our days. And so it's just been like a lot getting used to that. Okay, let me move on. But I appreciate that. Okay, let me see. Okay. Aon Homer, what's up? Said, what you said about handmade goods really hit me. I think a lot of artists romanticize the idea that they're making something handmade. It's just not sustainable. Exactly. And I mean, it can be sustainable to a point, but if you're an artist, maybe consider like, okay, I have my artwork, but then let me digitize it, upload that, and put that on different items, And so that way, you're making one piece, but then you can have that go to the masses and people can purchase it on an art print or a digital download or whatever you sell. It could go on shirts or planners, journals, things like that. So yeah, I definitely think that everyone that is in that kind of like maker field and that handmade field probably has that same feeling in some aspect. And so if you want to scale, it's like you have to kind of think outside of just that. It doesn't take away from anything you're doing at all. Okay, Taylor Kimmon said, I want to start a planner journal business. Do you know where I can find customized hardcovers? Not specifically customized hardcovers per se, not at all. With that, you would pretty much would work with a manufacturer or make them yourself. I'm not sure if you're interested in manufacturing. I do have a planner and notebook bootcamp that I've been talking about on and off over the last couple of weeks. I'm going to be hosting it on December 3rd. It's a Saturday, and it's going to be 8 different ways you can get it manufactured. So we'll be talking about companies overseas, companies in the US. I'll be sharing my full list, but as well as how to actually go about making it happen, how to get it done, what are the first steps, and I'll also help you to figure out what makes the most sense for you. So it's going to be really good. I don't know if that's up your alley, but that is something that I'm doing. I think it's in the description of this video, but it's a boot camp, and then the replay will be available, but it walks you through the entire process of, okay, how do you want to get this manufactured? We're not talking so much about launching and strategy and how to design it, but we're really talking about like the manufactured process, just straightforward. So if you're looking for that information, that will be helpful because with those companies, they can do a customized hardcover for you. And then if you're looking for more of the handmade route on how to do it yourself, that would be in my handmade planner masterclass. I share the full process, equipment you need, tools, and how to do it in the handmade planner masterclass. Okay, let's see. Narissa said, you did. It's so scary. I feel like I'm going to lose a lot of my audience, which is already itty bitty. However, like others are saying, you are really encouraging. So thank you. Oh, okay. So it sounds like you're pivoting or you're trying to pivot with your business. It's definitely scary. I will say, and don't take away from your audience either. I think that it's so easy for us, like you're saying, it's an itty bitty audience, but it's more than what's zero, right? So even if it's 10 people, that's still an impact. That's still people you can reach out to and touch and share what you're doing. So definitely do not try to diminish that. But I think the biggest thing is just share your heart. I was really nervous to share that I was switching gears, and the response was really really good. And especially if you're doing something where it still kind of relates to the audience you currently have. I'm not sure if that's the case for you, but if there's some way that it can kind of make sense, start kind of shifting your content a little bit. Maybe if you're not ready to fully announce it, start just shifting your content to kind of start playing around with it and talking a little bit more about the things that fit with the new brand. And then eventually people will kind of be conditioned in a way to know like, oh, this is what I can expect from her. And then maybe share like, okay, I'm going to be pivoting to something else. But definitely, if you will lose people, that's just the reality. I lost people too, but you would rather have people around that support you, get what you're doing, versus just people that are kind of like filler, you know? So that's my 2 cents with that. But you got this. JM, hi Tatiana, nice to see you. I'll watch the replay. I can't hang out this moment. Congratulations on the relaunch. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Shell said, I had to quit my full-time job due to burnout, so only working casually at the moment. Could you recommend how to get ongoing support to grow my business when I'm unable to afford coaching? Yes, definitely. So it sounds like you watch this channel. Hopefully you watch this channel. Hopefully you're subscribed to this channel. But I share a lot of free information on here, girl, like so much. So I would say my channel is a good place to start, only just because I know that I really talk about a lot of variety of topics, not just stationery, but just even down to the basics of how to get started, things to think about, how to ship orders, all of that stuff. So I would say that I am going to be I'll share just like a little peek into something that's happening next year if it's of interest to you. Because I know that coaching can be pricey, I am going to be offering a membership next year. I don't have a definite date, but the plan is for Q1 for it to launch early spring. So the membership will definitely be a lot more of an affordable monthly cost. So that might be something to look out for. And then if you are interested in working with me specifically, set up a kickoff call with me. I have a lot of different options to work together. I have like my more higher ticket options, but I also just have like a simple chat where we can get on and talk for an hour and just work through some of the questions and things you have if you're feeling stuck. So that's what I would say. But I think what I would suggest, even if it's not me, the biggest piece of advice I would give you is to find 1 or 2 people that resonate with you the most and just follow their processes versus watching 20 people. Because what ends up happening, you're going to feel more burnt out, more overwhelmed, because everyone has different approaches to how they run their business. So find the people that are speaking to you the most, stick with them, at least for a season, at least for 3 months or 6 months, to really utilize what they're saying. Because a lot of times the free information online, just quite frankly, is going to give you the what, it's going to give you the why. Of course, working with the person is going to give you the how, but I'm sitting here telling you as a business coach who would love to work with you and all those things, that you can figure it out with the what and the why. It's just going to be a lot more putting pieces together, navigating it, trying to figure it out. But I was able to make it happen, and I didn't have a business coach, And so that would be the biggest thing I would say, is just find some people that you resonate with and start there. And then let's see, you said, I tried looking for people who have offered pro bono and mentoring without much luck. Yeah, so definitely, like I said, set up a kickoff call with me. I do have some different options. So check that out if that's something of interest to you. It's not in the bottom of this email, but if you look, or description of this video, but if you look at the bottom of any of my other videos, it's in kind of like the connect with me section. Schedule a kickoff call, and then we can talk through the different options of how we can work together. Even if it's just for that hour, so I can help you get started. I do those all the time, and people just leave with the answers that they've been wanting to know. So that call can be very valuable for you. Okay, Joanna, what's up? I'm interested in the question Taylor asked about the designed covers. Okay, I answered that one. Pets are definitely a part of the family. Sending you love. Thank you. Totally. I sell prints, journals, clutch bags, etc. of my original paintings. Definitely needed to digitize. Of course. So glad you did that. You're welcome, Narissa. I'd love the masterclass. Thank you. Yes, definitely check it out. I linked it down below because it's still actively, the link is available for you to sign up. There are some payment plans on there as well. And I'll just share with you guys, there is going to be a code for it too, that I'm going to have on the podcast episode tomorrow. So If you want to get $30 off of the class, that code will be shared in there. It's not active yet, so I'm not going to share it on here. But if you happen to be a podcast listener, there's a code for the bootcamp. Okay, I think, did I get everybody? Everyone hit the like button. Thank Takia. Every time, like, I have to just shout her out. She is so supportive. You all are so supportive, but Takia consistently is always on, and she always makes sure to be like, hit the like button. So thank you, because I never remember to say that. I need to start putting it in my notes so that I don't forget to mention that. Narissa said, yes, I really learned a lot from Tatiana's channel. I struggle with affordability too, but her tips have helped a lot. I'm so glad. And hopefully you guys will be interested in the membership. That is something that I have been like wanting to like get my hands in and figure it out. But I'm like, let me get through this launch and all that stuff. And then during my holiday break, I'm going to really be working on the details of that. So very, very excited. Okay, that comment is for Shell. And yeah. And vote. Yes. Okay, this is as a closeout. Thank you, Takia. Again, like she be my wingman, y'all. Okay. So I am a finalist in a grant competition that is local here to Albuquerque. It's for a mom-owned business, and I'm a top 5 finalist. So excited. So I did include the link as well in the description of this video. All you have to do is click on the link if you want to support, and scroll down to the bottom, click on the Inspire Blueprint, put your email in, and then hit submit. And that counts as a vote for me. Today is the last day. I've been talking about it on and off over the last 2 weeks, but yeah, today is definitely the last day. So we'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. But I appreciate all of the support of everyone that has voted for me so far and shared it and everything. I really am grateful for all of you guys so much. All right. So I think that's pretty much it. Yes, definitely check out the podcast episode tomorrow. This exact one. It's right at the beginning of the episode. It will be right at the beginning of the episode, so you won't have to like try to fish around and find it. It'll be the first thing I'm talking about for the bootcamp code and all of that stuff. All right. Does anyone else have any last things before I go? I can't believe I've been on here for 40 minutes, but I guess I was recording that episode, which was actually, maybe I need to do these more often. I feel like I was a lot more to the point being live for the live recording versus when I be just like by myself, I just be like, oh, and I'm gonna talk about this and this. And then it ends up being like 30, 40 minutes long. But I do like to get my thoughts out and make sure it makes sense. So I don't know. Okay. It doesn't look like anyone else has anything. I'll wait for maybe another minute because I know there's a delay. But thank you all again so much for tuning into this first live recording. This was really cool. I'll definitely try to do these occasionally when I'm feeling up to it. But I was really excited to get on and do this today with you all. So I appreciate you so much. You don't even understand. You guys always talk about how much this channel encourages you, but you all encourage me every day. If it wasn't for you being here, I would not be here. So it's definitely, it goes both ways for sure. So I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much. All right, bye.